Hi there, this is Adam L with Adam L Photography and Okinawa Vision. Today we've got a little product review / comparison video for you. We're looking at the Tamron 70-200 2.8, both VC and non-VC version. Now the reason I'm going to be doing this review today / comparison is because my original review of the 70-200 non-VC Tamron lens was quite popular, having in the vicinity of 60,000 views on YouTube, a lot of comments, and I'm still receiving emails today asking me which do I prefer, the newer one or the older one, and what would I buy. So what I did was about 2 months ago went and picked up the VC version. Now with my reviews, I don't like to do reviews where I just pull something out of the box, look at it and say it's pretty, you should buy it, and ask the company to sponsor me. That's not the kind of reviews I like to do. I want to give you a very honest review, and I can't do that unless I put the lens or the product through its paces, and that's what I've done here with the Tamron. I've had it out in numerous beach shoots, wedding shoots, I've had it in club events, in very, very dark conditions, and also in very, very extreme weather as well, from heavy rainstorms to, you know, really strong wind blowing sand in my face like a miniature sandstorm. And I feel confident now that I can really talk about how well this lens performs and whether or not it's worth buying. So let's talk a bit about that now. First off, let me just pull out the older model. This is the 70-200 non-VC, and here we've got the VC model. I'll just hold these up side by side, give you a little idea of how they look together. Alright, so they're basically about the same size. The newer model is a little bit heavier. It's a little bit wider across the barrel here than the older one, and that's simply because it's got the new focusing motor. It's also got the VC included, so they've had to use a little bit more real estate within the lens to make those make space for those newer functions. So I want to just put the older one away for a moment and just talk a little bit more about the newer one. Okay, so what's been included now? We have the ultrasonic silent drive. So that's Tamron's internal focusing motor. It's incredibly fast and incredibly accurate. Really impressed with this USD, as they call it. Very little hunting, very responsive, and it doesn't make any noise. So if you're shooting weddings, etc., that's fantastic. You don't have that zzz, zzz, zzz noise going on all the time. So that's a great additive that they put in here. The other one, of course, is what everyone's been talking about, is the VC, the vibration control, which with Tamron is fantastic. They've really nailed this technology. All that is if you're not completely aware of how that works, is when you're shooting, you've got this long lens on your hands, you're holding a camera. A lot of times at slower shutter speeds, the shake in your hands will cause the photo to be blurry, and the lens essentially compensates for that vibration so that you get crisp, sharp images even at slower shutter speeds with shaking hands. Now, I tested that just for fun at down to 1/10 of a second, shooting pictures of my lovely dog Reef here, and without, you know, she's such a stoic dog, she doesn't really move that much, so they're incredibly sharp, 2.8, 1/10 of a second using the VC. I wouldn't recommend to do that if you were trying to shoot at a wedding, etc., but I'm pretty confident to drop my shutter speeds down to around even a 60th of a second shooting at 200mm with this lens and not feel too worried about getting that handshake in the photos. Now, if you've used the older lens, there's a few things that have changed in it. One in particular, which I'm not so happy about the change, is they've removed the macro, the semi-macro function that the other lens had. You used to be able to use that lens for shooting close-ups of the wedding rings and stuff at weddings, or even, you know, just like a semi-macro. It was really, really useful. Now that function's gone now. This lens will not get anywhere near those close focal distances. The other things that have changed is they've switched around the zoom ring and the focus ring. Sorry, the zoom ring and the focus ring. It used to be on the old model that you had your push-pull focus ring up the front, and it was quite large, and then a smaller zoom ring down the back. Now what they've done is they've put the larger zoom ring up the front and the smaller focus ring down the back. And the reason they've been able to do that is they no longer use the push-pull system, but they have the autofocus, the manual switch on the side. I do prefer that system a lot. It just took a little bit of getting used to after using the other lens for so long. So just make sure that if you do switch from the older model to the newer model, that you take time just to get yourself comfortable with the new layout of the lens. The lens itself is incredibly sharp, beautiful lens. The number of keepers has just grown exponentially since I've started using this lens, especially because you can, when you're shooting off camera flash and stuff, you've got to keep your sync speed low. Shooting at 200th of a second at 200mm with moving subjects while I'm moving, at a, you know, on a beach in a windy day and stuff, the amount of shake I was getting from the original lens was quite noticeable. But that's all been pretty much fixed with this one. I'd say I'm having about a 95 to 96% hit rate with this lens, which is incredible. I have mentioned in my earlier reviews about the Tamron, the non-DC model, being a cheap alternative to, say, the Nikon 70-200, but nowhere near up as on par with that. But of course, the price was a third, etc. So it was a good cheap alternative. However, with the new one, I'm pretty happy to say that barring the weather sealing, it is on par with the what Nikon has produced in this zoom range, and it's coming in at about $1,400. So we're talking half the price. So really a great bit of kit. If I was to choose between the Nikon 70-200 2.8 or this one, I would go with this one. That's my solid recommendation, because all you're getting for that extra $1,400 from Nikon is better weather sealing, in my opinion. The glass is just as sharp in the Tamron. The vibration control is just as effective. The focus is just as fast, and the build quality is still fantastic. Just that slight little gaps here and there you can see, which you're going to let dust in. Over time, you're going to get dust elements inside your lens with the Tamron, but not at the point where I think it's worth $1,400 more. So that's my review and my take on that. What else can I say about this lens? Not much, really. I mean, that's about it. If you're looking for a really good 70-200 2.8 all the way through, $1,400, you can't go wrong with the Tamron. One other thing I did want to add was, I think this may be a firmware issue with Nikon's cameras. I don't think it's got anything to do with the Tamron lens, but I have noticed that on my D3S, this lens will have trouble pulling focus in single servo mode. It's completely fine in continuous servo mode. When you're in continuous focus mode, it'll just sit there and hold and track, and it's brilliant. But for some reason, in single service mode, it hunts a lot more. My friend who also has this lens shooting on a D7000 has noticed the same problem. However, on my D800, I haven't seen that issue. So I'm pretty sure that it's just a firmware issue between Tamron lenses and Nikon bodies that hasn't been addressed in any recent firmware updates, but seems to be okay in the later model cameras. So I'm guessing, repeat here, I'm guessing it should be okay with the D4, etc., or the D8. Well, it is okay with the D800, but the D4, the D6100, I think, no, 610. Again, I'm not super up on all the different models that come out. I just know the ones that I use myself. So there you go. There you have it. Great lens, great bit of kit. Highly recommended. If you're looking for a lens like this, look no further than Tamron 70-200 2.8 SP USD DI VC. This is Adam L. Happy shooting. That's my dog Reeve.